The emergency room at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in the United States had seen countless miracles, heartbreaking losses, and impossible recoveries. But on one cold autumn evening, something happened that no doctor, surgeon, or military official would ever forget. A young rookie nurse named Grace Bennett, only a few weeks into her first hospital assignment, noticed something that every experienced specialist had somehow overlooked. Hidden deep inside the wounded body of a decorated Army Special Forces officer was a tiny bullet fragment no larger than a grain of rice. That single discovery would not only save a hero's life but would also trigger a response from the Pentagon that left the entire hospital stunned. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, courage, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so more inspiring stories can reach people around the world. Grace Bennett had dreamed of becoming a nurse since childhood. Raised in a small Christian family in Ohio, she believed caring for others was more than a profession, it was a calling. After years of studying, endless exams, and difficult clinical training, she finally received her first assignment at Walter Reed. Although excited, she constantly felt intimidated by the experienced surgeons, military physicians, and veteran nurses around her. Every day she worried about making a mistake, and many people quietly assumed she was too inexperienced to handle critical military patients. That week, the hospital admitted Army Major Nathaniel Brooks, a highly respected Special Forces officer who had been severely wounded during a classified mission overseas. Multiple surgeries had already removed several bullets and repaired extensive internal injuries. The nation's finest trauma surgeons declared the operation successful, but Nathaniel's condition refused to improve. His fever continued rising, his blood pressure fluctuated dangerously, and unexplained pain spread through his body despite powerful medication. Specialists from different departments reviewed every scan and laboratory report, yet none could explain why the decorated soldier remained trapped between life and death. Grace was assigned simple bedside responsibilities. She checked medications, cleaned equipment, monitored vital signs, and carefully observed every patient under her care. Although she spoke very little, she paid attention to details that others often ignored. During one quiet night shift, while gently changing Nathaniel's surgical dressing, she noticed an unusual swelling beneath the scar near his shoulder blade. It was subtle, almost invisible, but something about it didn't match the medical reports she had studied. Most people would have ignored such a tiny inconsistency. Grace nearly convinced herself that experienced doctors surely knew better. Yet the values she learned from her parents reminded her that protecting a life sometimes required the courage to ask uncomfortable questions. She respectfully documented her observations and requested another imaging study, even though some staff members dismissed her concern as rookie anxiety. Hours later, a senior radiologist reluctantly ordered a high-resolution scan simply to reassure the nervous young nurse. The room fell completely silent as the images appeared on the monitor. Hidden beneath scar tissue was an almost microscopic metallic fragment lodged dangerously close to a major blood vessel. It had escaped every previous scan because of its unusual angle and the chaos of Nathaniel's extensive injuries. The fragment had slowly caused inflammation, infection, and internal complications that threatened to end the soldier's life. The surgical team rushed Nathaniel back into the operating room before sunrise. Every second mattered. The procedure was delicate because even the smallest movement could rupture the nearby artery. Grace stood quietly outside the operating theater, praying with folded hands as surgeons fought against time. Nearly 3 hours later, the lead surgeon emerged carrying a tiny steel fragment sealed inside a transparent evidence container. It looked insignificant, yet everyone understood that this tiny piece of metal had nearly claimed the life of one of America's most respected soldiers. Nathaniel's recovery surprised everyone. Within 48 hours, his fever disappeared, his blood pressure stabilized, his strength slowly returned, and for the first time since arriving at the hospital, hope replaced fear inside his family's hearts. His wife, Rebecca Brooks, held Grace's hands with tears streaming down her face. unable to fully express the gratitude she felt toward the young nurse whose careful attention had given her husband another chance to come home alive. News of the discovery quickly reached military leadership because Nathaniel had been carrying highly classified responsibilities before his injury. An internal review confirmed that Grace's observation had prevented a national tragedy. If Nathaniel had died, valuable intelligence known only to him could have been permanently lost, potentially affecting ongoing operations designed to protect American lives. What seemed like a simple medical observation suddenly carried enormous national importance. A week later, black government vehicles quietly entered the hospital grounds. Senior Pentagon officials, decorated generals, and military medical leaders arrived without advance publicity. Hospital employees assumed another classified patient had arrived, but instead every visitor walked directly toward the auditorium. Nurses, doctors, patients, and support staff gathered in confusion, wondering what extraordinary event required such high-ranking officials. Grace believed she had been called merely to assist with seating arrangements. Instead, her name echoed through the auditorium as the Secretary of Defense stepped onto the stage. In front of hundreds of hospital workers and wounded service members, Grace Bennett was recognized for extraordinary professional courage, exceptional clinical observation, and unwavering commitment to patient care. Military leaders explained that medicine was not only about advanced technology or prestigious titles, but also about compassion, humility, and the willingness to notice what everyone else overlooked. The applause seemed endless. Experienced surgeons who had once doubted the rookie nurse stood proudly beside her, admitting that every medical professional, regardless of experience, could learn from her example. Grace accepted the recognition with quiet humility, reminding everyone that she had simply done what every nurse should do: never stop seeing the person behind the patient, and never ignore the smallest detail when a human life hangs in the balance. Major Nathaniel Brooks eventually walked out of the hospital supported by his family instead of a wheelchair. Before leaving, he visited the same hospital corridor, where Grace had first noticed the hidden swelling. Although words could never fully repay the gift of life, the gratitude reflected in his eyes spoke louder than any medal or ceremony ever could. The hospital staff realized that true heroes sometimes wear camouflage on distant battlefields, while others wear simple nursing scrubs under bright hospital lights. Months later, Grace became a mentor for newly hired nurses across the United States military healthcare system. Her story appeared in training seminars, reminding future caregivers that greatness is measured not by seniority but by compassion, patience, and attention to detail. Thousands of young medical professionals drew inspiration from the rookie nurse who refused to let fear silence her instincts. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that one caring person can truly change another person's destiny, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe for more emotional stories that celebrate courage and kindness. Special request: before this story ends, please comment below and tell us where you're watching from and whether you believe one small act of kindness can save a life. We'd love to read your thoughts. Sometimes the biggest miracles begin with the smallest details. A fragment no larger than a grain of rice nearly ended the life of a national hero. Yet one compassionate rookie nurse refused to ignore what others overlooked. Her courage proved that faith, kindness, and careful attention can accomplish what experience alone sometimes cannot. Long after the applause faded and the Pentagon officials returned to Washington, Grace Bennett's greatest reward remained unchanged: the quiet knowledge that because she chose to care a little more, a husband returned home, a family stayed together, and a nation kept one of its heroes alive.